The Power Rangers reboot began today with the release of the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition action figures, and almost everything is a total disaster for adult fans, but not for the kid audience. There's a lot of information in this video, and we're going to start by clearing up the confusion many fans had about the new action figure collection. When Power Rangers started announcing the new collection, they always showed a few pictures with the silhouette of the new figures, and this was the only thing they were always showing. Then, the first action figures they showed were the ones that change faces for helmets, and this confused many fans as these figures did not look like the silhouettes they had shown previously. The reality is that the official toys are these, but the figures that change faces are also part of this new collection. This confusion could have happened because everyone thought that there would only be 6 action figures and only this, but the reality is that today they have revealed that there will be many toys. Little by little in this video we will be showing and analyzing all the toys they are going to release, but let's start with the first figures they released. The figures that change the head are the first ones they released, and they were the ones that created a lot of tension in the fans since they are a mess. These figures try to mimic the style that the 90s toys had, which also changed the head and had a pretty weird body. Another pretty terrible thing about this kit is the weapons, as they look pretty bad, and Tommy's dagger looks almost as big as Jason's sword. These figures have a lot of errors, such as Kimberly's helmet, as it doesn't have the white part, and the necks of the Rangers when they have the helmet on, as you can see the skin. Despite all these errors, these action figures are supposed to be sold for a price of $10, which means we can't ask for them to be high-quality toys. The other figures they had released were the Zords, which also transformed to become the Megazord, and here too there is a lot of controversy, but some new photos released today by the Multiverse team may change the perspective of the fans. In this first photo we can see that the design of the Zords is quite good, and although the materials used look a bit cheap, the reality is that the whole design helps them not to look ugly. The price of these Zords will be $18, but we are not clear if they will be $18 each Zord or if all together will cost that price. The reality is that even though the material seems a little cheap, I think they are going to cost $18 each Zord, because this way they will be able to generate more money. In these photos published by Multiverse we can see that the toys look much better than they do in the photos, and here we can see the shine, the details, the size, and the miniature Rangers. Here we can also see the Megazord, and the size of each Zord was perfect, even better than the Hasbro Megazord. Another of the photos published were the figures that change face, and here we can see the Rangers without helmets. The reality is that, for such economic figures, the faces looked pretty good. To finish with the Zords, Power Rangers Reignition will also release the Ultimate Megazord, which will have more than 15 sounds with phrases and effects. We don't know if this Megazord will have more differences with the other one, but I think that this one can't be disassembled to have the 5 Zords separately. We are going to analyze now the action figures that have been announced with the silhouettes, and then we are going to show all the surprises that this collection has, since they are not going to be action figures only. These are the official figures, and even though they are much better than the previous ones, they really don't look that good. Honestly, I was expecting them to look much better, since there are other figures from this same company that look pretty good, but here they didn't do a good job. We know that these figures are aimed at a child audience, but the reality is that adults also collect these figures, and I don't think many fans want to buy them because of all the mistakes they have. For example, Tommy never had a blaster. Tommy's dagger also looks gigantic here. The Pink Ranger's helmet doesn't have the white part either, and although in this picture you can't see it, in the pictures of the New York event you can clearly see it. Other mistakes are, Trini looks like she has a diaper, Billy's gun looks too big too, and Tommy's dagger also has the wrong colors. We don't know the price that these figures are going to have, but you can really tell that they are only for the children audience, and that they didn't think about the adult fans, since surely the kids are not going to care about all those mistakes. Honestly, I think these figures have one of the worst designs I have seen if we compare them with other collections, and I hope they can create some figures for a more adult audience or for collectors. This same collection is going to have some villains, and this is going to include Rita with all her team. I think this company has more ability to create monsters or villains, as these figures are excellent and I really like the style they have. I'm not going to criticize too much the face of Rita since I like everything else, and although the Rita they created for the Lightning collection was spectacular, this new Rita is not so bad. In this collection my favorite is Squat, and although the eye design is wrong, everything else I love. Another surprise that was published was the new Morpher, which will have more than 40 sounds with phrases and effects, besides bringing the 5 coins. The design of this Morpher looks pretty good, and although its design is not so similar to the design of the real Morpher, I think it fulfills its function very well. The power coins look pretty good too, and this Morpher is going to be priced at $17. The next surprise was the Battle Bikes, which were most famous in Super Sentai, but I think they are going to be a perfect toy for the kid audience. These battle bikes will have a function that allows the ranger to quickly disassemble, and with this we can see that this entire collection is designed for children. The designs of the battle bikes look great and will match the action figures excellently. My favorite surprise was the Blade Blaster, which will be able to transform into its 2 versions and will have more than 20 different sounds with phrases and effects. This blaster is going to be priced at $20, and I think I'm going to buy one. Although the designs of the previous toys were not so good, this blaster looks great and even looks like a collector's item. The price is very economical, and even though we know that the materials used are going to be cheap, the reality is that its design is very convincing. Next to the blaster, there is also the Dragon Dagger, and it also looks great, although I wouldn't really buy it as this does look like a toy. What causes this dagger to look like a toy is the yellow color, as it doesn't look like gold color, but a cheap plastic yellow. I must admit that the design looks pretty good and the size seems to be just right, but it is a bit unfortunate that something as simple as the color change makes this dagger look low quality. Other items they published are these masks so that anyone can dress up as Power Rangers, and although this already existed before, I think I like this design better as they look more faithful to the real helmets. To continue enlarging Power Rangers Reignition, they also added these Mighty Morphin plushies, and I must also admit that they look better than the ones I had seen before. Behind the plushies were also these action figures with another design very similar to some figures from the 90s, and I must say that these do look pretty good. Lastly, next to the plushies are some small figures that include all the Rangers, Zords, and all the villains we saw today. We don't know the scale of these figures, but I really like that they have a lot of detail and look pretty good too. Write in the comments your opinion about all these new items, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers news.